viewers, welcome to the Fatu Network, and I am your host in this special interview. My name is Dauda Balde. Today my guests in the studio are the executive members of the Council of African Descendants. Here we're going to discuss issues of insecurity that are affecting the African diaspora residing in the Gambia and many other things in this episode of the special interview at the Fatu Network. My guests in this studio today, let me just run a quick introduction. We have Luke Mackenzie, who is the chairman of the Council of African Descendants from my far right, and I have our Gambian brother who is Babukar Jeng, also a very good sister, Binta, as her Gambian name, which is also a very familiar name in the Gambia. Binta, welcome. And from my far left, I have a face who is very familiar if you know the African descendants in the Gambia. He is somebody you must know, who is no other person but Mr. Adrian Ryan. And from my left, I have a very good sister who is no other person but Matondo. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fatu Network. It's a pleasure to have you here despite your busy schedules to discuss issues of national security that are affecting not only the African diaspora residing in the Gambia, but also Gambians and non-other Gambians as well. So it's a pleasure to have you here at the Fatu Network.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. So we will go straight to the program, and I will start with Mackenzie, who is the chairman of the African Council of African Descendants. We understand last week you guys called for an urgent press conference where you highlighted issues of national security that affect Gambians and also, most importantly, the African descendants residing in the Gambia. These are crimes that the country wasn't known for. But recently, we've seen a dynamic change and crimes are now rising. First, you will take us through the press conference. Why you called on that press conference at that initial time?
Yes, so we called a meeting, a press meeting at that particular time because there's been an escalation of crime in people being attacked, people being robbed, people being murdered, and the community are now at the stage where they do not feel very comfortable, and they are quite upset and quite frustrated with the incidents that's happening, and you know, they are now worried about their children, about their, you know, their wives, their husbands, and their and all the members of the community. So the meeting was called because people are feeling very unsure about the Gambia now because of the escalation on crime. You know, you have too many situations happening, and not a lot of people know what is happening because there are isolated incidences in different places, and it's not brought to the public. So this is why we had to call a press conference, because the community is not feeling very safe at all.
And I remember this press conference comes at a time when we witnessed a tragic murder of African descendant brother who was a very hard-working man, Mr. Leonard, at the forest in Tanje. How do you wake up to such a tragic news? And I remember that the first major incident that shocked the entire country was the murder of Sakina Chinedu, who was also a well-known African descendant residing in the Gambia doing amazing work.
Yes.
How do you wake up to this sad news?
The situation is that these murders has sent a chilling effect through the community, a real sense of uncertainty. And the first murder of the lady that got murdered, she, you know, a lot of the women was feeling very insecure because while they're going along the street, while they're in their houses, then they're not sure whether when somebody knocks the gate, when they hear a sound at night, whether when they're walking home at night, whether somebody's going to attack them. So when we woke up to another murder of the young, the man that is was from the UK. We was people just says, you know, really, you know, this can't keep going on. There has to be something. We never came to the Gambia to be murdered. If you notice that many people will leave a country to go to another country for financial reasons, but we never came to the Gambia for financial reasons. The Gambia has not got gold, it hasn't got silver, it hasn't got platinum, it hasn't got all these different minerals, diamonds, you know, so, and it's got a few fish, but the Chinese has already gone off with them. Mm-hmm. So what did we come to the Gambia for? We came to the Gambia to help to grow the country, to help to invest in the country, to help to nurture the children, to help to nurture and educate the people, you know, that the country could grow in harmony. Because one thing the Gambia has, it has a very nice, positive feel. You feel, when you're in the Gambia, you feel at home. The sun is nice, the sea is nice, and there's a lot of nice people. But fundamentally, we don't, you know, at my stage of life, I wouldn't want to be coming all that way, selling up all that I have for a young boy or a young man to come and murder me. It wouldn't be acceptable, you know. So these things have to change. You know, the young people need the opportunity, and we are only talking of a country of 2 million people. You know, in many of the cities where we come from in the West, there's 5 million people, and many of us that had jobs, we've been in charge of 5 million people, and we done those jobs with no problem. Security, food, money, hospitals. We done those jobs in the West, and when we was in charge of 5,000 people. The Gambia's only got 2,000 people, you know. So, you know, we just have to get to the reality of it, because now lives are people are dying. You know, before we would, you know, stay quiet and just try to, you know, work among ourselves. Mm-hmm. But now it's got to the stage where, you know, we just cannot be quiet about it anymore. You know, something has to change.
Yeah, interesting. Now I will go to our brother here, who is not a person, but Mr. Adrian Ryan. You've been in the country for more than 5 years now. I'm sure you witnessed a lot of things. The Gambia used to be called the smiling coast of Africa, where you're gonna walk from your house to the bank, carry a bunch amount of money, and walk without, in fact, looking at your shoulders. But things are changing drastically. How do you make up this? What's your take?
Well, my take on it, as we realize over the years, Gambia is getting more developed. And sometimes with development, you could see more incidents. I still feel the country is safe. It's just a few things that we really need to tackle. Mm-hmm. And we are willing to work hand in hand with the police. Because for me, I feel 90 to 95% confident that the police could get everything back under control. Mm-hmm. But we, as the public, mm-hmm. have to also work in conjunction with the police. So like if we see incidents, instead of ignore it, let's report it to the police. But what I do urge the police to do is to give out information on quick response numbers that people could call. Mm-hmm. And I think they could do more programs even on the television mm-hmm. stations, you know, to give out those emergency numbers so people will know where to contact, because they're quite different units that do different things. So I am positive that they will get everything under control. It is mm-hmm. It is not good what is happening now, but I know this is something that they will be able to, yes, bring back under control. Mm-hmm. You
Very
know?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important, as like you mm-hmm. say, we need to work hand in glove to make sure mm-hmm. that everyone is safe, because if you are safe and your neighbor is not safe, mm-hmm. that means you are not safe. Mm-hmm. So now I'll come to our sister here, Matondo. You've been an African descendant coming back to a country where you see your brothers and sisters. Yeah. And now, how do you feel? Do you feel safe living in the country?
Do I feel safe living here? Yes, I do, but I know that I've got to always take precautions in terms of when I go to sleep at night, mm-hmm. the way that I go about my daily business, when I leave home. I always have to take precautions. But these are precautions that I would take in the UK, in other countries. I would do that anyway, as a matter of course, because sadly, wherever you go, there's good, bad, and in between.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when I go about my daily life, I am very careful. But it's just that because of what's happened, it's heightened my awareness, and to take extra precautions. For example, if I was leaving my house for the weekend, I'd want someone to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to leave it with the security, or do you know what I mean? I want to take extra precautions. If I'm taking money from the bank, I want someone with me. If I'm taking large sums of money out of the bank, I'd want someone with me. I wouldn't feel confident just walking down the road and thinking, oh, it's fine, no one's going to bother me. And that's a sense of awareness that I've developed recently. I mean, it's sent shockwaves through our community. What's happened recently, I think Shakina's murder was devastating enough, and then to have this follow so quickly and so rapidly, it's like, my goodness, we're not over Shakina's murder yet, and then to have Leonard be so tragically murdered so soon. I think we all feel very vulnerable, and in that way we all take steps to take precautions. I think it'd be fantastic if the police could actually give advice on safety measures, and you know, and that we can follow through. I use the network that's available to educate people about being safe and about how to go about their daily business. You know, even travelling at night.
Yeah, I know it's traumatizing when you lost someone in such a conditions, and I understand that these crimes have been allegedly perpetrated by individuals who are so trusted, and they're working with these people. At the end of the day, it becomes a betrayal of trust.
Yes.
And what do you think now should be done to ensure that anyone you're working with, you screen the person and know the individual's background before working with the person?
Well, yes, I mean, that's a good safety net. That's the first thing you do. You'd have you look at their ID, you'd have to look at references. But it still scares me that you could know someone for years and not really know their agenda, because people have long-term agendas here. And so what do you do with that? Take all the necessary precautions and hope that you've got enough good references to follow up on, and you can check through with police records to make sure that they're not wanted criminals, and in that way feel secure about who you're employing. But it's a lot of trust is being dashed, really. If you feel that you know someone for 4 years, or I don't know how many years, you have to know someone to trust them. But
it's a problem.
It is.
Okay, now I'll come to our wonderful sister here, Binta. You've been living in the country for some time now. You leave UK to come and do some investment here, and also build relationship. But recently we've seen a change of crimes. Gambia is seeing crimes that we were not familiar with. This goes to Gambians and non-Gambians as well, because these crimes, I can say they are new in the country. As an African living in an African country, because I will call you an African living in an African country. How do you feel, and what do you think should be done to ensure that these issues are managed? Because we know crimes cannot be eradicated completely, but they can be managed.
Okay, thanks for asking me this question. I'm here because it's a subject that I feel wholeheartedly passionate about. I mean, there's no higher issue than safety, life, and happiness. And I feel what has happened to me, if I just take a minute to talk about my own experience, is that I came here, next year will be 10 years. Me and Gambia, with its 50th independence, we shared that occasion, and I came at, both of us were the same age. And I had made a decision that I wanted to leave the UK for a better life. And I came here. But I didn't come here willy-nilly. I did some research. And 10 years ago, what was being said about Gambia was that it was one of the most affordable places to live. We're talking 10 years ago. And also that it was one of the most safest places to live. It was one of the African countries that had never had civil unrest. So I looked into all of this because it was very important to me to go somewhere where I could feel safe and happy. And I just can't believe that within this 10-year span that I've been here, that things have changed to the point where countries are actually advising their citizens not to come to Gambia because it's not safe. Now, ask me now, 10 years on, if I heard this news, would I make my decision to come to Gambia to retire and to live happily? And there's a big question mark over that. And I can't say that I would. I really cannot at this point say that I would make the same decision that I did so willingly 10 years ago, that I would make the same decision today, because the country has changed. And I would kind of like beseech, you know, government or anyone who's dealing with statistics or any research to try to map out what has happened within this 10-year period, because there has been change. This wasn't happening 10 years ago. What has brought about this change? Some people say it's the change of government. A lot of people would agree with that. Some people say it's economical pressures. The whole world is under these pressures where people are finding it hard to survive and they're resorting to crime so that they can feed themselves and their families. Regardless of whether it's economical pressures or whether it's, you know, the state of the world, or it's a government that is not actually doing as much as it should be doing, questions need to be asked. And then when they're asked, we need to come up with some solutions. And for me, one of them, I don't know how controversial this might be, but one of my solutions is that when I first came here, the army was on the streets. They were patrolling the beaches, they were patrolling all places. Even in the night, there were still, you know, security checks and patrols were happening. Why is that not happening now? We have an army here, I say we have an army here that I am told are locked away in the barracks, right? I don't see the economical value of that. Why we have grown strong men who are not being able to be put to work to do something to protect the country, the citizens of this country. And let's be clear that when it comes to any kind of war, Gambia doesn't necessarily stand a chance. Our army is not strong to fight the war, the external war that might come upon us, but the internal war, which is the war against crime, we can do something about it. And I just don't understand, and I wish somebody could explain it to me, why the soldiers are not being a part of the solution in terms of the crime rates that are increasing in Gambia throughout these 10-year period. It wasn't happening in the beginning. Why is it happening now? And could they be a part of the solution to resolve that?
Yeah, interesting. We will also get to that. Now I move to Babukar Jeng, our Gambian brother. Mr. Jeng has also been in the political field. I remember in 2021, you were among those aspirants who were also yearning for the top position. That is to lead the Gambia to the second and third republic as well. But Mr. Jeng, I mean, you've been in the country for a quite long time. I understand you travel at some points, you come back. You've witnessed the days when the Gambia was called a very peaceful country, and the days now that people are pointing and accusing each other of now the image is already being tarnished that crimes are escalating. As a Gambian and a concerned citizen, what do you think has changed and what do you think should be done?
First of all, I will sympathize with the families that suffered loss, from Shakina, whom I encountered briefly. I met her, some time ago, who was pushing hard for the citizenship. And also the one who passed away recently, sending my condolences to the family. Also to applaud these guys that we're sitting with, Adrian, Luke, and the ladies. Say behind every powerful man are powerful women behind. So for this COAD, the Council of African Descendants, it's a solution right there. It's an army. Everything needs governance. You coming in here, you need your own governance. From my own perspective, I see COAD as a governance to govern you people that come here, to make sure that you're safe, you're secured, your investments also are secured. So this is a solution of its own. It just needs to be explored and broadened. I'm not just wearing one cap. I also am a Pan-Africanist. I have what we call LEAP, the League of African Patriots. And they are patriots in our country. They are patriots in our country, even though they are Africans from the Caribbean or from the UK, but they are coming to contribute and doing what the citizens should do. I think they should be embraced wholeheartedly, and the government should embrace them wholeheartedly to make sure that they are safe and secured in this country, regardless, because they came to increase. They came to give, not to take. So my own perspective about this whole issue here is everybody's business. We all have to get involved. We all need to roll our sleeves. Us as citizens, being it civil society organizations, being it the government, being it the local government, being it the central government, everybody should roll our sleeves to make Gambia smile again. To make Gambia smile again. Because as you could read before, like you said, 10 years ago, that's the reason why they say Gambia is a smiling coast. But looks like that smile is fading away because of these things that are happening. You can connect it to socio-economic, circumstances, but these are realities, versus what exactly should be. We shouldn't take excuses. The reason why people are given mandate to rule is because of the responsibility. And there is two words in responsibility: responsibility. We should have the ability to respond because all the resources are there. So there shouldn't be any excuses. So I think the group should really put up, a proposal, hows and, wheres and whens and how they want to collaborate with the locals to have a proactive innovation to put on the table for government or local government to come in, to partner with, so that we can tackle this. Because I heard Adrian, talk about engaging the security, and the security cannot just be engaged. And we have to separate the issue from the emotion. It's emotional, it's painful, but it's really an issue because there is an evolution that has happened recently. Gambia has become a favorite spot, not only for the diasporans, but even for Africans. Sierra Leone, Liberia, you name it. And all these people, they come with not just their individual pursuits, looking for greener pasture, but God knows who they are, what they've done, and what is their level, of crime and guts. So when they come, they interact with the locals because they live with us. And we see them, some of them, we interact with them in the ghettos. So we copy from them. And the things that they do, our young people, their eyes are on it. And Gambia, we have a very young population. And there is peer pressure. And we are very good at copying in Gambia, to be honest. You look at a Gambian trying to copy a Jamaican, he speaks, you think he's Jamaican. Somebody copying somebody that does hip-hop, you think he's from the United States. And it's a nature, but we can tackle it. All we need to do is just to have a massive awareness, civic education, to make sure that we have community policing, and to make sure that we engage the relevant authorities, that is the immigration, who are responsible for these people that migrate and come in the country, who they are, where they're from, what's their background, where they live, what they do. So the intelligence has to be boosted. It's not a small job. It's a hell of a work. And I think there should be even a special budget at parliament, at government level, a special budget to invest into this. You know, it's a peace crusade, and we need to work on it. And we can make Gambia heaven on earth. But it has to be everybody's business, both the ones that come from diaspora and the locals that are living here, including these people that migrate, their embassies, their ambassadors. So I'll just rest my case here.
I know we will elaborate more.
You know, we politicians, all we do is
exactly. So now I will go back to Mr. Lux. Mr. Lux, as the chairman of the Council of African Descendants, I understand that this is a body that is advocating the well-being of all African diasporans who are living in the Gambia. What initiatives are you undertaking, is the COAD undertaking to ensure that you mitigate the challenges that the African diasporans are facing in the Gambia?
So a few weeks ago, maybe a month and a half ago, we started to engage with the police, and we've had quite a few meetings with them, and they've provided us with quite a bit more information. And now we've recently got some telephone numbers from them, and we are intending to have a few more meetings with them, so that those are the things we are looking at. We're also looking at a bit of the private security end of securing people in their compounds. So we're talking to a few private companies, security companies. But ultimately, we are working with the police, and we hope the police will, you know, as when we was talking to them, you know, it's hand in hand. We have to work hand in hand. We cannot be. It's not a thing where we can work separate to the police, you know. And it's not the police's fault why crime is in the country. You know, I look at this country and I'm passionate about the young people in this country, and I don't see that they have a very good future in this country, and that's why a lot of young people are going the back way, because there's no jobs, there's no future. You know, you see people at 25, 30 years old and they're not married. They have no, then they can't have, they ain't having children. These young people want cars. They want to be able to go on holidays. They want to be able to wear nice clothes. They want to be able to have their children. They want to have nice houses. These things are possible to have. It's just so easy, you know. But and these things, if you know, we know how to help those kind of situations. We can help the government and the people of this country to put those things in place. It wouldn't even take us a year to put those things in place. So education, you know, so many of us work in the education field to have the children being educated. Because, you know, when you look at the children in this country, they are so beautiful and they've got a lot of potential and they're very bright. But what is their future? You know, we just got to look at the reality of it. There's no longer, we can just bypass it. Because them young people, them sweet young boys and girls will grow up, and many of them will become criminals, you know, or they'll go the back way. You know, so it's you know, it's a straightforward thing. You know, we always try to people try to bury their head in the sand. If you don't provide these things for them, they will find other alternatives, you know. And I'm sure, you know, the people of this country would like to see their children progressing, designing things, making things, you know, traveling all over the world, developing countries, developing systems. You know, they have the ability too. I work with many young people in this country, and they are so sharp and so clever. But when you see them sitting at the side of the road with no hope, No, it's not good enough. You know,
So do you believe that's a factor, the lack of opportunities is a factor for rising crimes?
of course it is. Because we're not just talking about murders. Many of us have our cars broken in. I even leave my car doors open now. Because basically, if I don't leave it open, they break the window. So I just leave the car door open. Let them go in and search around. You know, you're getting people that are stealing out of compounds. They're stealing out of, or anywhere they can steal. You know, so why are they stealing? It's because they want the money. They want money to go and enjoy themselves. Why are we trying to shut them off from the money? Is it because people of my age, now at this stage, I'm not thinking about money. I'm thinking my job, and anybody of my age in this country should be thinking about giving the young people a future. If you're now at this age, my age, grabbing onto money, right, and pushing the young people out the way, how can you be like that? You know, it's their time. You know, it's their time to live. It's their time to dream and have a massive future, you know, and show how fantastic Gambia can be.
And that goes even, I'm liking the topic that you are bringing up here, that is that all should give a way for the young people. This is a country where you see young graduates from the university with all the qualifications, but they lack the experience and they often don't get the opportunity.
Yes, I've worked with many of them over the years, and I'm still working with them now. And they have an ambition to succeed. They have an ambition to become good at what they have studied for. But many of them will leave their universities, have no job. You know, and they'll leave and they're educated, but they have no job. You know, and I've worked with many young people, and, you know, over a few years, you know, they've been successful in business. You know, so what, you know, the mindset has to change. If the mindset don't change, the young people will want to take what they want to take. How can you blame them? You know, if they cannot afford to buy a nice trousers and go and enjoy themselves on the weekend, or take their parents out to the beach and buy their parents food and look after their families, what do you think they're going to do? They are hopeless. You know, this is the world. This country is not about us, my age group and just below. It's no longer about us. Anybody that you see old and is just thinking about themselves, that they cannot be for the people. You have to be, my age now, it's about legacy. It's about leaving something for them beautiful young boys and girls of this country that they can enjoy.
And remember you for.
Pardon me?
And leaving something that they can enjoy and remember.
And remember before. You know, and when you see the smiles on their face, and when you see the happiness in their family, and when you see the babies being born, this is what it's about. And if you have not that vision, you cannot lead. You must have that vision of wanting these things for the country, wanting these things for the young people, you know. And that is what leadership is, you know. Because if those young people grow up and which are frustrated, I meet them all the time. And you meet the young men and they want to do something, but they're not being taught. You know, so, you know, we're here to help. We're not here to work against the country. We're here to work with everybody that we can work with, but we're working with genuine people. We don't want to work with people that's going to waste our time and just talk. Because my time is limited. Because I cannot be talking at this age. I have to be doing. Okay, so, you know, that is what we want to be doing. I don't want no big meeting, talk. I am not interested. And nice smiles not interested. I want to see results. Okay, that is what it's about. That I can see the smiles on the young people's faces. That I can see the school children skipping to school. Many children are not educated correctly.
If there is one thing you have the chance to change in this country, what would it be?
What would I change? I would change the process of how young people are when they come through school. I would change the education, the way they're educated. I would also have, it may sound strange, but where we stand right at this moment, I would automatically change. I would have a service where the young people, 3 days a week, if they're from about 15 years old, 16 years old, they go do 3 days a week in the army, and 2 days a week on horticulture, okay? And give them a good wage. Give them a good wage that they can take home at the weekend and spend on their parents and their family. Now what you're doing then is you're giving them order, you're giving them worth ethics, you're giving them standards, you're giving them something that they can develop themselves off. And then when you give them horticulture, when they'll be able to bring food and develop farms and things like that. So therefore you're setting in them what they need for life, the things that they need to be able to give on to their children, get up, that they can get up in the morning, that they can go out, that they can turn up on time, that they can study and do the job well. You know, all those things are a part of nurturing, you know, and those things don't come through talking. You see, many of people look at us and think that we don't know nothing. I've traveled Africa, even before I came to Gambia, I traveled the rest of Africa for 15 years, developing buildings, developing communities, developing, people got married. I saw people from young children to be adults married with their children, with houses. We made communities. We did all that. And we stayed on the road. We drove vehicles and we did country to country for 15 years. You know, all those skills. There's a lot of diaspora Gambians that are here, that has left this country and went to America and the West. And they have enormous skills and they are itching to be a part of this development. But they're being pushed back. You know, all these things need to change for the country to move on.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Thank you so much for that deliberation. I will come back now to Adrian. As the Vice Chairman of the Council of African Descendants, I understand you've been in the forefront for the campaign for citizenship, which Gambia is yet to grant, and I'm hopeful that as time goes on, the message will be out there, and then the relevant authorities will take the necessary actions. I understand a few years ago you have an audience with the President regarding this campaign. Take us through now. What's the level?
Yes, I had an audience with the President, but that was with my ex-wife. We're no longer together now. And he gave us some words of confidence that he would have looked into it, but unfortunately, what happened? He also said to us, right, when he formed his party, he would have assisted us in getting our citizenship, because the history of Gambia is good. Because the first ever president in Africa to give out automatic citizenship was your late president, Dawda Jawara. Yeah? And he done that back in the 70s in Abuja, Nigeria, where he gave out citizenship to the diaspora coming back. And also, your former president, the one just before the president now, he also was giving out passports to us coming for when we used to visit for the Homecoming Roots Festival. Yeah? And that, I think that was a great initiative. So now, His Excellency, no, I'm not a stranger to the country. As you say, I had the privilege of meeting him. So now we're depending on him now to give some of us our passports. I mean, we have people here living, coming up to 30 years, and they haven't been issued their citizenship. And they've been running business from day one they got to this country. So I think it would be nice if His Excellency could do a welcoming for us and also, you know, give a few of us our passport. I think that would go a long way, and it would also boost back tourism for us coming back. And, well, most of us are not really coming back as tourists. We're coming back as homecomers. So many of us come back here, we have businesses, and we have people in the West that want to come and team up with us. But they're saying, Adrian, what do we get? I mean, I'm comfortable here living in the West. Why am I going to come to Africa? Why is it that they're offering it to me? So that is why citizenship in itself is important. Because, for instance, if he now start giving out citizenship, I'm not saying just giving it out a while, probably reduce the time, probably to 5 years. Because as it stands, it's 15 years. We're coming back, got to wait for before we could ever get qualified for citizenship. Some of us might say married to a Gambian, which will shorten it to 7 years. But for people already coming with their families, You know, they want to know, if I'm going to invest in the country, why am I waiting 15 years? You know, because citizenship is a security for your investments, right? And many people that move to countries to invest heavily, they usually come with a citizenship package, yeah? Because if you want to invest millions of dollars, you need some kind of security. And that is why citizenship is important. So yeah, we could look at 5 years. Also, we could look at programs where we visit the village, learn the language, learn the culture, because we're actually coming home. This is who we are. When I went to Kunta Kinte Island, I haven't seen an immigration office there. So obviously my ancestors never gave up their rights to Africa. They was dragged away from Africa. And this is us returning. The same blood run to the vein is running to our vein. So now we're coming home, we do expect that we're being looked upon, you know? Because what I'm trying to say here, we, the descendants of the enslaved, we are in a different category to say economic migrants. Because you have economic migrants, that's where Africans leave the continent to find greener pastures. But they leave with their culture, they still understand their language, so they could always return back to their country and fit in. But we was taken, and we lost everything. So our case is actually a special case, because now we want to find out where we're from in Africa. Who are we? You know? Was I from Gambia? Was I from Nigeria? You know? So that is why I was saying our case is special. And I think that when we, the descendants of the enslaved, return to Africa, you know, they should meet us halfway. You can't lump us in with everybody else, because we have lost everything. Just as you know, if a Jew now go to Israel, they will grant them automatic citizenship, and they will give them money to start. And we know that the city of Israel wasn't even there with the Holocaust, you know? So we coming back to Africa, I think is important for them to look at us as these are homecomers that lost everything, you know? And some of us coming with great contributions to this country, and our investments not going out. You know, other people might come to take, we bring in, and that's the difference. You know, because most of us, we're fed up with the West. Because all the West give us is just an illusion of inclusion. They never really include us there. As you could see it on the television how they treat us. So now we're coming home, we want to be treated as Africans. I want to be embraced. So that is why I did call upon His Excellency to give us a welcome home. You know?
Do you think now that COAD is also getting bigger and bigger on daily basis, that the needs for you to form a delegation and meet the president to remind him on a call that you made previously? Do you think it's necessary?
Yes, and I think that is in the process, because I still have a good connections to the honorable members of parliament. Yeah, I still have a very good connection with Honorable Solomon Seho. I mean, almost all of them. And that's something that we're going to be arranging, meetings to go and sit with them, and also try to get an audience again with the president, just to deal with the citizenship program. I mean, we had a good talk with the Speaker of the House. Yeah? He's a very intelligent man and a strong Pan-Africanist. And anything we're doing, he will support us. Yeah? Even up to the presidential level. They will support us.
That's very good. Now I come back to our sister here, Matondo. I understand the situation we are all confronted with is just sad. Like, not only the African descendants are affected, but also we've seen Gambians are being murdered daylight. Some at their workplace, some at home while resting, some while away working and things like that. What do you think the Gambian government should do to restore sanity and peace in the country?
Well, that starts with from the top, really, putting in place conditions whereby people can feel safe in terms of protocols. It comes down to the police, but above them, you've got the government, haven't you? You've got those in power that actually have all the say-so and the know-it-all to actually make those positive changes. because if your own citizens are feeling threatened on a daily basis, then what hope is there? It starts with the top, and then you filter it right the way down. You need the police. I suppose they're doing all they can, I believe, but they need help too, and that needs to be restored. I think if the police are invested in, and they then do their job properly, then Gambia will be on an upward path in terms of being safe again for everybody. Everyone wants to feel safe and protected and included. You know, this affects everybody, and as I said, it comes from the top.
Thank you very much. I'll come back to our sister here, Binta, who is also very, very, very brave. I watched you talk at the press conference, and you sent out a message about what the Gambian government should do. Could you remind us and our audience, what should the government do to tackle these crimes, which is also affecting the economy because it is stopping investors and tourists from visiting?
I think the point that I was trying to make was that although I don't have a TV, and I'm not aware what the government is actually saying, so I might not be speaking from a truth, but I would hope that they, knowing what is going on in the country, to their own citizens and residents and visitors alike, that they would be very resolute in what they would be putting out there, you know, to the country. And I feel that it should be strong and bold statements about where they stand when it comes to crime. And that they should be saying, so that the citizens can be reassured, but also the criminals are also listening. So they will also be hearing that the government is saying we will not tolerate this. And that, you know, so everybody's hearing it, the good, the bad and the indifferent. And let's hope that it would have effect on all of them. Because if people know that there's a high risk of being punished, they're more likely not to commit crime. It's when you feel that you can get away with it that you're more likely to do it. And if you live in fear of the consequences of your actions, you're less likely to take those roads. And also, there's a thing that I sometimes think of, is that it's very hard to commit a crime and nobody knows about it. It's very hard for no one in the community to know. Someone's coming home with more money, someone's coming home with, where did they get it from? I think it's very hard to commit crime in isolation. Someone always knows. And we have this feeling of not wanting to snitch or to tell, but the community now needs to, as someone said, police itself. And when they see that things are happening within their community, within the village, they need to speak out about it. And this will also lessen the risk of people committing crime, if they know that the eyes of the community are on them. And they are also saying, no, we don't want this here. We don't want this amongst our people, because we were never like this. And we don't want it here.
So what economic implication do you think this will have in the Gambia if the government is not taking that bold step?
There's a trickle effect. You know, I can't tell you how many people have come to Gambia on my say-so alone because of the joy that I felt being here and just shouting it. I was like a free advertisement for Gambia, telling everybody to come, how wonderful it is, you know, and you know, you're missing out if you don't come here. But I equally could turn around and say, I don't know if you should come here. I don't know how safe you're going to be. And word of mouth is a very, very powerful thing. And all you need is few people to say, look, oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't think it's a safe place. Oh, I don't think it's... For people to stop coming. It can happen like this. Look at Ebola. Look at all the... Look at the changeover of government. 40,000 people left Gambia. 40,000 people left Gambia because they were in fear. I'm talking about citizens. In fear of what might happen during that period. Word of mouth is, it's like wildfire. So as just as well as we can build the country up, the country can also be brought down by people just giving it bad press. So that's what we've got to be careful about.
And now I go to Mr. Jeng. You've been a Pan-Africanist and also a Gambian. What do you think, what step do you think should be taken to ensure that these crimes are addressed henceforth? I know they cannot be eradicated completely because development comes with price and consequences.
Yes, you see, crime is a raw reality. And it's something that the whole world have been battling with. There's crime everywhere. And I think Gambia, ours is mild for now. But there is a saying, that's a local saying, we need to cut it from the root before it grows to a level that we will not be able to tackle it. I think the most important thing is we are aware, everyone is aware, and everyone is feeling the pinch of it. So I think all we need to do is to organize ourselves. For me, what I see is the lack of organization. It's overwhelming. Like the saying goes, if you stand in a farm that you're supposed to clear for farming, and there is bush all over, or you need to start from where you stand and start chopping, rather than being overwhelmed by, when am I going to finish all this? So I think this is a start. All we need to do is to put the process in place and put the procedures in place, the people that are involved, the stakeholders, and we have data, information, because we cannot just be, nibbling here and there and guessing figures. I think it should be an organized manner, because when you look at the United Nations, they meet every couple of times and everybody sits down, they put things in perspective, in reality, and they come out with programs. And these programs are dated for implementation so that they have results. So I think the voices have been heard and everyone is talking about it. So I think there should be a call to action. There should be a call to action.
Yeah.
The stakeholders that are responsible, from the authorities, the community, and the affected community, which is the COAD, the people who migrated not for greener pasture, who come to contribute, should be engaged. You see, there's this book written by Jared Diamond. He say, if you want to solve a problem, you need to build a fence around the problem. We need to make sure that, okay, this is our problem. We cannot be distracted. We want to solve this problem. And these are the steps that we want to do. We have to have a comprehensive plan. COAD needs to come with a comprehensive plan and put it on the table. Us as a civic society organization, LEAP and other organizations that are on the ground, it's about time that we shy away from the microphone. Pan-Africanism is not just speech, eloquence and beautiful speech and, those firing speech that everyone will just shout. Now we have to make sure that we convert that anger into proactivity, into initiatives that will solve the problem.
Thank you very much. I know the time allocated to us is almost finished, unfortunately, but inshallah we will be having these discussions time and again. I will just go to Luke as the chairman of the Council of African Descendants to make a concluding remark on this issue and also a message to the Gambia government.
What I would want to say is that we're all one people. And people need to realize that. People would never know by looking at me that I have many members in my family, Gambian people, Gambian young boys that were born into my family, and they're mixed with the Caribbean communities and all this, and there's no separation. That's one thing. When Gambians come among us and come into our families, there's no separation. We don't see no difference. Mm-hmm. Sometimes in Gambia, people look at us as different. We're not different. We're the same people. And we need to treat each other like the same people. Those that are trying to divide us and says, you people, we need to leave those people behind. They're troublemakers. Those people it's not going to bring anything good to us. But if we join hand in hand with each other and work together, we can achieve what we need to achieve. You know, there's a lot of little things that has to change. I feel sorry for the police officers because a lot of them don't get paid enough. But, you know, as I said, I don't get involved in your politics. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they get paid enough. You know, many times you go into the station and they feel overwhelmed. And then sometimes maybe some of the actions of which they do because they feel overwhelmed is not correct, you know. And sometimes people go into a station as a victim and they're coming out as a criminal because they've been treated the wrong way. Mm-hmm. All these things have to stop. You know, we cannot be discriminated against because if the diasporas that left here speak to the Gambians, they will realize that we have been married to them. We help them in the factories, we help them in the businesses all around the world. We join together as one people. You know, so nobody should ever say you people, because we are all one people. Mm-hmm. And if we join hands together, we're going to make Gambia great. Yeah. We're going to make Gambia shine. Mm-hmm. People are going to want to come to Gambia and invest. But right about now, what we have to do is, many of us have families. I have 2 grandchildren in this country that were born in this country. I have 14 people that I have to look after. I have made investments in other West African countries. Within the last 6 months, I've had to make investments in other West African countries. Why? Because certain things aren't right. Mm-hmm. Okay? You know, the world is not asleep anymore. Anybody that thinks the world is asleep, you're mistaken. Everybody can see everything. You know, you can't hide anything anymore. So let's join together, you know, and put away all these different things that will divide us. And let's make Gambia great.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. That's the time allocated for us. It's finished now. Inshallah, like I say, we'll be having you here time and again to discuss on these important topics that we just started. This is just the beginning. And to our viewers out there, we thank you very much for being with us during this episode of the interview with the Council of African Descendants. We thank you so much from my technical team down to everyone. We say thank you and stay tuned. Enjoy the rest of our programs.